Hi, Dan.
Hi, Tony.
Did you get kicked out of the house? Be honest.
I'm in
Be
the garage. I'm a garage person now.
garage pale kid.
I just sit here with my file trying to escape from the garage. There's no escape.
You look like you're promoting an Etsy store where you weave baskets. That's what.
I'm Dan the Weaver. I can get you whatever you need.
Hey, watching with Dan and Tony. Hey, watching with Dan and Tony. It's like watching, yeah.
Welcome to Hate Watching with Dan and Tony. I'm Dan, and
I'm Tony.
I guess I leave it on this side. I have a special setup.
You were not ready to start this show at all.
I'm holding my notes up with a big metal vise, so I don't have to look down at my notes. I got them right there.
It's a good thing you're putting those tools to work. That's good for you, Dan.
I'm streaming from the Etsy Secret Lab. Tony's streaming from Tony Cave. Is your wife allowed to come in that room?
But there's a sign outside that says "No Tony allowed."
Is there really a sign outside that says "No Tony allowed"? Or are you just making that up?
Out of your garage? I have no idea.
Oh, our garage. You're allowed to come in the garage. Everyone's allowed in the garage.
Oh, thank you.
So this is Hey Watching with Dan and Tony, where we watch movies. And Dan rubbed his nose because I'm in the desert and there's allergies. So we talk about movies. Yeah. So this week we're doing a movie I picked. And I picked this one because it's one of Tony's favorite movies, and I'm Tony's friend, and I want to let him sit at home and watch his little comfort movies to make him feel good about himself.
Okay, first of all, hold on. I don't know if it's one of my favorite movies, but I think it's woefully underrated, and I think it should have gotten a sequel. And honestly, if you would have given it a sequel by the time you made the sequel, half your cast would have been like rocketed to superstardom, and you would have had a real smash hit on your fans, I think.
Oh, really? Is the girl a superstar now?
Naomi Scott did Aladdin, and obviously Charlie's Angels, that was not great.
Wait, she was the mousy girl in Charlie's.
Yes.
Angel.
Yes. And then she's Jasmine in Aladdin.
Okay.
And then, you got Billy from Stranger Things there. And, you got some good stuff. Elizabeth Banks bringing the heat.
That was Elizabeth Banks. I meant to look that up. I was like, God, That sounds like Elizabeth Banks. And because
she's a chameleon. She's great. Is that like a hot chameleon?
Hot? I don't...
Oh yeah, we'll probably get into that a little bit. I've got some problems, and my wife got mad at me.
Okay. So this is Saban's Power Rangers 2017. They figured they should make it an hour, 124 minutes, so 2 hours and 4 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know if that was necessary.
I won't say that this movie drags. It actually doesn't really drag. It does fine for that amount of time, but considering how little action there is in this movie, it doesn't really merit that much time. I mean, literally, there's one action scene in the third act action scene is the only action. The only other action in the movie, there's one sort of fight scene that goes nowhere, and then there's them training, and that's it.
Yeah, which is funny because we're watching this the week after Mortal Kombat, and the structure is a little Mortal Kombat-y, but it's done way better, I think.
You mean this movie is similar to the Mortal Kombat we just watched, or this is
just structurally, just where they kind of start off with a little action, quote unquote, and then you go into like a big training montage where they're trying to find their arcana or their morph powers, and then you get like a final battle. It just felt, it's very formulaic, but I feel like it did a better job than Mortal Kombat did.
Oh yeah, much better job than Mortal Kombat. I mean, this movie's problems are not nightmarish. This movie's pretty straightforward. They sort of do their thing. This movie's problems are that it's not a really good movie. It's just an okay movie,
Yes.
and that's
Yes, indeed.
and I guess if you're saying that about a Power Rangers movie, I think it's already a win because
They already passed the bar of like terrible, and they reached mediocrity. That's pretty good, guys. I strive for mediocrity in my life, and I rarely reach it. So
yes,
it's tough.
some mediocrity is what Tony's usually trending at.
That's my base.
Now I looked at Power Rangers a little bit. The Saban Power Rangers, the original TV show, they bought Super Sentai from Japan, and then they just sort of took all the action, and then they just put in like white actors as the guys. Is that what happened?
Yes. So what's great about it is all of the battle scenes where they're wearing like their Ranger uniforms was not shot here whatsoever. It was purchased, and then we wrote storylines around those and put in like our live actors, and it's brilliant. It works perfectly. It's totally seamless. Don't worry about it.
I see. When I was a kid, I was into Japanese media. Okay, and so I bought Japanese comic books that I couldn't read. I bought Japanese toys that you only sold in Japanese stores. And hey, Rich,
it's all over.
It's all over.
I was going to go to the market. I get a poor boy sandwich.
You gotta get a poor boy? Okay.
Can I get that?
That sounds good. I'm here. Rich is going to the store to get a poor boy.
Get one for me too, please.
He's not getting you a poor boy. So I watched like Channel 18, which was the Japanese station, and I would watch the shows, and then I'd have all this stuff for all these weird shows that I could never see because there'd only be like 2 hours of programming a day from Japan. And so I grew up on the Five Rangers, which was a Japanese show, and like five Rangers, one pink, all exactly the same. And then Super Sentai is just basically all these things are ripoffs of ripoffs of ripoffs of ripoffs. And at a certain point, there's not a lot there.
What do you mean, Dan? There's plenty of depth and content. Teenagers with attitude.
25-year-old teenagers with attitude. Now, a question for you, Tony. Now, in the TV show, is it all the same characters? Is it Zach and Jason and Kimberly and Trini, or do they change some of the names?
Well, in the original, the OG, the original Power Rangers, yes, this is the crew. And then, there's obviously changes as you go from the different versions. And there's also, so there's a ton of Rangers by the time you're done. But the original, like the first series were these characters. Yeah.
And they were somewhat similar to who we had in the movie.
Oh, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, no, not at all. So one of my they kind of made them the outcasts in this version where they're like the troubled teens outcasts. But in the original, they're like the goody two-shoes. They're like, we're the good guys and we're helping younger kids. We're teaching little guys martial arts and teaching lessons. And then you got like Bulk and Skull, which are the bullies of the group. And so it was like super like clean cut, good fun, as opposed to this, which, they went a little bit the other way. I'm good either way, but it's a big difference.
Somehow in detention, all these disparate, it's kind of Breakfast Club of characters come together. Well, this is the Breakfast Club.
It is. It's Breakfast Club meets like Power or like a little Spider-Man and then a little bit of Transformers maybe, but it's it's good. Take from the best.
Yeah, so it's a thing. So we start off with some nice music. Then we go back to Earth in Cenozoic times, and there's the Red Ranger, and I think, was it the Pink Ranger? Which girl was that? Was it Pink that got
Yellow
killed?
Ranger was the one lying on the ground?
Yeah. So
it was yellow, I believe.
Yellow Ranger's getting killed, and Rita Repulsa is there kicking their butts, and then they call in a meteor strike, and then everything gets blown into the future, basically.
So I have questions.
You have
first
questions.
of all, I have so many questions about this.
Okay.
Is this the meteor strike that killed the dinosaurs, or is my timeline like so far off?
I didn't really check Cenozoic. I mean, it could be. Yeah, I mean, it
I
could
don't know.
be.
I thought maybe that was like a weird like nod to like, oh, we killed the dinosaur. I don't know. I'm an idiot.
No, well, I think it's kind of an interesting point. Is like in their path to kill her, they basically kill off all the endemic life on the planet.
Yeah,
Thanks.
100%. Yep. And then it
So
like resets. And the timeline of it confuses me because their tech is so like futuristic, but apparently it was 65 million years ago.
yeah.
I'm I'm a little gray on that.
Well, yeah, it's kind of. I mean, if you really want to look at the whole thing and go, why, how does this make any sense? So there were only these 5 people or 6 people in the universe. Where did all of everything else going on? Why isn't there another person coming to Earth to pick up said crystal for another? It's like
Yeah.
it's not like this is the end of the war and the war ends with the two. No, not really.
Yeah, no, like that can't be. Yeah, I don't know.
And
It's so I'm a little confused on the backstory. That's
and
what I'll say.
and of course they. I mean, this is jumping ahead a little bit. Rita just sort of comes to life at the exact same time that these things get found. After 65 million
Yeah.
years, those
What?
two events occur the same week. You're like,
It doesn't like at least make it where like maybe someone finds this thing and it like sparks her to life, like it calls to her. You know, I don't know. It's just so random that she gets picked up by a fishing boat and then she just wakes up. I don't
not
know.
just a well, not just a fishing boat, the fishing boat that's run by what's his name's dad.
Of course. Well, yeah, you got to keep it all in the family, right?
And they live in like the most suburban, landlocked kind of town. And then the dad
Yeah.
walks, 1 mile to his fishing boat and then fishes like in the middle of the day. He's like making the kid breakfast and then that evening he's out fishing and then the next day he's just it's
It's
like,
just a
what?
day trip. That's what's wild about it. It's not like they're out trolling for like a week. It's just like he's out for a couple hours, comes back, and I got fish for a week. Don't worry. I don't.
We're eating tonight, kids. I got fish. Yeah, I mean that whole aspect of it is like, why the dad? Okay, we'll get into all that weird stuff. So we start with Red Ranger Billy, not Billy, Jason.
Jason.
Jason,
Yes,
who's
Jason.
played by the Power Rangers, the Stranger Things kid. I guess there was a new
Dacre
drop.
Montgomery.
I think there was a new drop on Stranger Things just yesterday or two. I guess.
Oh, I missed it then.
They just released
Shoot.
something. He's great.
Yeah.
He's a 10 out of 10.
This guy better be a movie star. That's all I'm going to say. He's so good.
He's such a good actor. He's really charismatic. He plays
Beautiful.
well. I mean, he's attractive in a certain way. In Billy, they made him gross and weird.
And yet still attractive. That's the crazy thing about Billy.
Sexy. He wasn't attractive in Stranger Things.
He's got that allure to him that it's just like, okay, I'll follow you into the darkness.
You're like, he has all the middle-aged women he wants forever, and 12-year-olds and anything in between. You're like,
or middle-aged men. I'm just saying, hit me up, Dacre.
Tony's ready. So he made him, and that shows you this versatility of this kid. And he's gonna do stuff for the rest of his life, I would think.
I hope so.
So he's like doing a prank with a cow, and then they rush in the car, and then he's crashing into everything and trying to kill people. You're just like, what
You're
is
really skating?
happening?
Yeah, it really throws you into a lot of things at once, and not a single one of them makes sense. But here's my biggest problem with this scene, Dan, is his friend makes a masturbation joke right off. Like one of the first lines of this movie is the kid being like, "Oh, I just milked it," and he's like, "You mean him? You milked him?" And I was like, "Come on, what is? why are we going with the low hanging fruit?"
I thought that was a Tony line. That was like Tony's like, yeah.
So, the setup is funny. And then the kid, the return, like his response to "you mean him," he's like, "Oh yeah, I thought it was weird. It was really big, and I had to use 2 hands." And I was just like, "No, don't ruin the joke. Just hit the joke, move on. Don't dilly dally on the joke and squander an opportunity."
Tony's angry about the overplaying of this joke. Well, fine.
I just wanted to play that kid's part. He was terrible.
I didn't write down, I think, any of the jokes. There's jokes throughout the movie, and they have a tendency to land and be acceptable, not problematic.
Absolutely.
But my issue is these kids are willing to get in cars and ram cops and kill pedestrians, and
yeah, they're bad kids.
And he's not a bad kid. That's the thing about it is, at one point later on in the movie, he's like, I'm just a bad, I'm dangerous. He says something that sort of sets him up as like being the troubled child. And you're just like, he is not a troubled child. He is like the football star sort of, you just don't buy it. They don't write him as that character either.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they do the same thing with the Pink Ranger, Naomi Scott, Kimberly.
Oh yeah.
Where she's like the super popular girl, and then of course it's just like, oh, she's popular, but she's troubled, and she doesn't like being popular. It's just like these tropes are like ridiculous.
Yeah, her big arc is that she cyberbullied somebody, and now she can't live with herself.
And we'll talk to it when we get to that part of the movie. But I got problems with her character arc.
You love this movie. I
love this movie, and I love her. I just have a real problem with the way that they wrote this one part.
It'll be interesting if we find something in this movie you actually like, Tony, because okay, I really like all the actors, but I don't really like the movie they're in, or anything that happens, or any of their arcs.
I enjoy it.
Or most of the jokes.
I enjoy the movie, but listen, we're all about pointing out the flaws. I can enjoy a movie that's not perfect.
Oh,
that's my thing. I like shitty movies, and there's problems. There's problems.
So talk to me about you. You were very quick to go after my gem of a movie, Twilight, for the camera work. Talk a little bit about the camera work in this whole truck section, and there's 2 or 3 times in this movie where someone takes the camera and puts it on a thing that turns, and then they just shake the camera so it just spins around and around and around, and you can't see anything, and you can't tell anything that's happening.
This movie was clearly directed by like a freshman art student who has read terms in a book but doesn't know how to use them. So he's like, oh, let's do this one and see what happens here. And there's no like consistent look of the movie. It changes throughout, and it's a mess, man. It's a mess. But here's the great thing is someone gave this person, I think it was a dude, I don't know, money to obviously have a car rig that rolls over so that you can shoot inside, because he uses that like 4 times in the movie. There are like 4 car crashes in this movie that roll over, and we're in the car, and he's just like, this is a great prop that we have. We have to use it. It's ridiculous.
Yes, this movie thinks that weird car chases, having your main characters be reckless drivers where anyone could die for no reason is like exciting. And there's later on, and there's this one big chase in the car that they just pump up the music, and they're just like, you're going to be getting into this, and you're so just sitting there going like, I don't like these kids for all the danger that they're causing. I mean, like,
they're reckless. They're not bad kids. They're reckless kids. They don't give a fuck about anything.
But this is only when they're in vehicles. The rest of the time, they're just like, oh yeah, Mom, I'm happy to carry these groceries in. Oh yeah, sure, Dad. But it's like they get in a car and they're just like, die. Maybe that's what happens to kids nowadays. Because they watch these video games, and the video games tell you that you have to be this way.
Oh, it's that Grand Theft Auto, I tell you.
So 3 weeks later, the dad's like, why you got to do all this dumb stuff? He blew up your career. He blew up his leg, so his knee's all messed up.
Would it take you 3 weeks to have that conversation with your idiot son? I feel like that conversation happens earlier than 3 weeks later.
One thing, since we've been doing this podcast, that I do is I cut people a lot of slack, because you cannot do a cinema verite where we see the 3 weeks of his recovery and the emotional arc that his father goes through of vibing him out. You have to pick a time period. You want to pick a time period where he can walk around and he's not in the hospital, and Dad's just going to do his vibing then. Every movie's like that. You watch these phone calls that you should be 2 hours, and the phone call's like literally 30 seconds. Yeah, we're getting divorced. See you later. Click. You're like, wait, where's the conversation on this? No, we gotta put that to bed in this 30 seconds because we got stuff to do. So we're at detention. Kimberly's there, Pink Ranger, whatever her name is.
Dan, what do you know about Saturday detention? Because that's what this is, right? This is Saturday detention.
Was it Saturday? I don't know.
I think so, because I think he said like you're here every Saturday for
I think you're right.
the rest of eternity. But the dad says, what did he say? Where is it? You're here with all of the weirdos and criminals. And I was like, what? Is that what Saturday detention is? Like it's like a little mini juvie where they put criminals? I don't understand.
Well, I think that's like movie colorful talk. He's giving the dad a line that the dad wouldn't have, right? The dad wouldn't say that. Like one of his buddies, you're going to be like, you're going to be in there with all those criminals and all those problem children. That's what his, prospector best friend might say.
His prospector best friend. Great character.
What's her name? Hot girl's in there with her hot girl hair. You're like, oh, she's hot. And then ADD kid, Billy's there. And then the bully comes over there, starts bullying him immediately. It's like a red-haired kid, problem, red hairs. And so Jason comes over there. And this is actually my favorite part of the whole movie. He slaps him.
Bitch slaps him right in the face.
It's just, and the guy's like, did you just slap me? He's like, yeah,
I did. Just, weird. It's so good.
Does he say that? I did weird.
Yeah, he did. Yep.
It's the best part of the movie, and that defines this character. And I wish this had just been that character. I wish he'd gotten injured by an accident, and and it wasn't him. Because that's who this character is. This kid is the leader. He doesn't have to grow to be the leader. He's the leader. And I wish he'd have just started out as the leader and had to fight to make the whole thing happen. With
I agree.
Make him understand that they need to be led. I wish that had been the whole thing with him. That would make a lot more sense to me, as opposed to I'm reckless, but I'm the leader. Those two things do not glue together.
But also very responsible at the same time.
If only a very responsible person is going to go over there and protect this kid.
Right? Yeah.
If he's reckless,
it is what it is.
If he's reckless, he should have beat that other kid to a pulp. Maybe that's where
just senseless.
Yep. How does he end up in detention? He beat that kid to a pulp. That's right.
He's hot-headed, and he's got to learn to control it and rein it in. That's an arc, sure.
And we know he can play that. He could play that instantaneously.
In fact, now I kind of want to watch it because that danger in his eyes, I'm in, dude. I am in.
He picks up that bully, and that bully's just a pile of blood, and you're just like, okay, Jason, this is something you gotta work on.
Gotta work on it.
So, slap. So, what's her name? Hot girl goes into she gets a text from the other mean girls, and they're in there.
Yeah.
And they're all like, "You're cut out because you did the wrong thing." And they actually have a photo, right? Don't they have a photo? They tear her picture off of the photo.
Yeah, they they get her out. Would girls at this day and age really do this in person? I feel like this is something you just do over text. Why are they in the school? They snuck into the school just to tell her that she's out?
And they're both hiding in one bathroom stall together. You're just kind of like, couldn't you just have them dramatically walk around the corner and just strike a pose and we the hot bitches. Boop, you out. Yeah, it's like, those two girls are like, Dad, could you color print this out? Yes, dear. I'll have to
color print.
So you're like, okay. And then she's all like, in a point of rebelliousness, there's scissors stuck in the wall.
Listen, I don't. Those are the scissors that the girls use to cut her out of the picture.
Dad, I also need to borrow the scissors.
I don't know.
Do we
And
have scissors?
this stupid scene where she cuts her hair. Like, come on, guys, think of something a little more original. I've seen this like 1,000 times. Angsty girl cuts off her hair. Wow.
And
Whatever.
she comes out. Her hair's perfectly styled after being cut by the shittiest
Yeah, she did a
scissors in
great
the
job.
world.
She's got a future in hairstyling for sure.
And she's smoking hot. You know, she's smoking hot.
Yeah, Naomi Scott. Yeah.
Yeah, Naomi Scott. Oh, you loved her in Charlie's Angels, didn't you? You were just
I do.
saying
Yeah.
all the words.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's great.
Yeah, okay. So Elizabeth Banks and her, both those movies. Huh. That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
So
maybe they're best friends.
So Billy wants Jason's help, and he's like, I can fix your home arrest. And so then he's like, I'll give you a car because Jason wants a car for some reason.
I don't totally understand this exchange because it's
he made
Billy's van, but Billy can't drive.
And
so
then
he needs Jason to drive him, but then he's like, you can borrow the van while I'm blowing stuff up at the quarry? Is that
but Jason has like a burning need to have access to this van that evening.
Well, because, he destroyed a truck and he hasn't destroyed anything since then. So he needs to really get there, bat out of hell, drive into a couple of things,
Yeah, so there's no explanation. If she had like a hot girlfriend he had to get to, something, comic book show. No.
The dude should be home. He's got a 7:00 curfew. He's got nowhere to go.
So he says yes. Then he takes his BMX bike, to the White Stripes. And then he gets there with like 4 minutes.
And they make him so sweaty. He is like dripping in sweat. I was like, wow, that guy's really booking it. Good for him.
And what happens when he gets to Billy's house?
Billy's mother goes.
Another one of my favorite parts of the movie. One of my favorite parts of the movie. She goes, Jason, and you're just like, oh my God, she wants to sleep with him.
I mean, for sure. Not that I blame her, because again, I'm in. But also, when he's riding the bike, someone's like, "Is that Jason?" Like, as if like everyone in this town knows him and it like adores him. It's great. It's great. He's a hero.
It's like off-screen voices. Jason, it's Jason. Did you see Jason? Jason, 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 Jason. People sticking their heads up. Jason. So unfortunately, the mom maybe has like half of a scene somewhere else, but I was really hoping there was going to be like a little interplay between the two of them in the house. That was going to be funny.
Yeah.
But she just gets that one weird line. So he goes down there and Billy fixes the whole thing, Faraday cage, does the whole thing. Once again, music to like dun, 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 dun.
You're right. You're like, okay.
If this movie didn't have music to try to make these things exciting, this movie would be kind of like, okay, good, there it's fixed.
I do enjoy a lot of the soundtrack. I'll say that. Musical.
Yes, Social Distortion, White Stripes, some covers. One Social Distortion song they used twice for some reason. Don't know why.
Did they? I didn't even notice that.
It's like, I think Burning Ring of Fire, Social Distortion's version of that. They use it in 2 different scenes. You're like,
beautiful.
Use Mommy's Little Monster, whatever. So they go out to the gold mine, and Billy monologues about him being on the spectrum and him not understanding jokes and a bunch of stuff that would be really interesting to see if it was ever played out. It is never played out. He just becomes like a normal character.
Yeah. Well, Dan, we only have over 2 hours for the movie, okay? We can't put that much stuff in it.
And we have all sorts of other characters that underdevelop as time goes by. So we see Zach's on top of an abandoned train car. We assume he's homeless and that's where he lives. He's not homeless. It's not where he lives. He has a mother that's dying somewhere else.
Yeah, so he hides out.
So we have this. Jason's like, I'm just going to go use the van. You're on your own, Billy. And instead he creeps and follows Kimberly, who's doing yoga on the quarry top. and then she strips down to bikini and then dives in the water.
Does she dive? Because this is some of the worst
Yeah.
CGI in the movie, Dan. I don't know if you notice this, but there's a brief moment where she defies gravity in this backwards dive that she does.
She
like does
jumps
this
way
and then like rotates without moving and then continues. And I was like, wait, I had to rewind it like 3 times to check it out. It didn't look
Really?
good.
You kept rewinding the part where you see her in her bra and panties, Tony?
Well, I mean, I rewound it just far enough to see her remove. No, I just was looking at the fucking frames of her diving.
And that's another story I need to tell about this movie. Is I was on YouTube for some reason, and maybe I was searching up what's his name in this movie to see who he was or something, and somebody had taken just this little 8 minutes of her stripping off into her bra, and that was their clip that they put on YouTube for everyone to watch.
How many views did it have? Like
lots.
1 million? Yep.
Lots and lots.
We are a disgusting human race. Like we're not good people. We're not good.
So when I got to this scene, I was like, "Oh, okay, now I understand the context of what's going on here." Because you really thought that Jason was like super creeper in this little clip. You were just like, he's following her around and waiting for her to strip down and do some diving.
Yep. Nope. I mean, it's kind of close anyhow. Even that's not quite what it is, but still. And he does look away when he's like, oh, she's taking her top off. I'll look away. But then he looks back,
Yeah, of course he does. So somehow Billy has dynamite and he just blows the thing up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was just big explosion.
And what's her? Trini's there on the top, and she falls down and doesn't get hurt at all.
Yeah,
right?
because it blows up, and then everyone comes and is like, "What was that giant explosion?" And then there's like a rock mini avalanche from where he blew it up later, and she's on top of where he blew up. It honestly, just these kids are reckless. That's what it is, Dan.
That's before she got the magic coin, right?
Yeah, because the second when the avalanche happens, that's when Zach sees it and he's like, I'm going to break it out.
And literally, Zach, there's like a rock hammer there. I mean, probably Billy brought it. Probably in that weird box.
Yeah, because he's working the mines,
And basically, this giant piece of obsidian, it's glass. Maybe it's obsidian.
It looks glass-ish.
Yeah,
I'm not a big mineral guy, but
obsidian. No, this is not obsidian, but close to obsidian. Obsidian is a clear glass. It's like a glass rock sort of a thing. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm talking about. So he just hammers it out instantaneously. All the coins just fall out, and they all grab one, and magic happens.
As it would, magic.
So then we have... then like an alarm goes off, burp, 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 and then 1,000 jeeps and kind of like in Venom, 1,000 jeeps and buggies and attack cars come to attack them.
So what is it with this quarry? Why is it so off limits? Like, what is in this quarry? Is it I don't know. I don't understand.
Well, it was an old gold mine, and then Billy said they were going to blow the whole thing up.
Okay, yeah.
And it was going to be...
So why is there so many people... Why are they guarding it? I don't understand.
Why are you guarding a thing that you plan on blowing up and getting rid of?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Who gives a shit?
And
at that point, it's just like, do whatever you want.
At one point later, they go back there, and there's like all these people guarding it again, and they just sort of walk around them and are in it, and there's nobody in the thing to protect it.
Yeah, they're just at that one entrance. So as long as you don't go directly in the door, you'll be fine.
So they get in the van, and they're like drifting, and then he's like, Billy, you got to drive, and Jason goes in the back, and he pulls in the girls, and then they're on this road, and we see Zach is running along a cliff, and then Zach jumps.
Yeah.
And lands on their vehicle.
Yeah.
Like, it's they're all acting like they've killed like a person or done something like truly illegal, as opposed to trespassing, which will probably get you a ticket and maybe
Yeah.
maybe a couple $100 fine. They're willing to do anything to escape.
Well, Dan, as far as I can tell, none of them have jobs. Okay, so a fine is a big deal.
It's end of life. It's an end of life level of fine. So they like, we could beat that train, and they're trying to beat the train, and the train hits the van, and the van goes boom 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 boom.
Another
And
tumbler.
this is the point at which you say, another one of Tony's tumblers. Tony's tumblers. You say to yourself, that van is the van. If I like did that to my parents' car, it would be the end of the world. You can't just get a new vehicle. And you could have derailed that train. There's like a million bad things.
And all of that is true. My biggest question is, they all wake up the next morning and nobody's in trouble. Like, Billy stole his mom's van, destroyed it, and no one's in trouble? What do they think happened to the van? I'm very confused about what happened in the van. Where is the van? Do they know the van? Do they just think it was stolen? I don't know.
They do something with the retrieval of the van later in the movie for like a couple minutes that doesn't make a lot of sense. They maybe just like take it back to Billy's mom's house and go like, "Here you go," and she's all like,
here's your van that was hit by a fucking train."
And this is one of two times in the movie where they just do this time jump where they're like, we don't want to deal with all this messy stuff. And so the coins somehow just take control of their brains and get them all home and into bed and undressed.
Yeah, and then they wake up and they all have Spider-Man moments.
Yeah, and so Tony, of course, wishes that we'd seen what happens with Kimberly because, Okay, so I wrote police. Oh, okay, now we're back in school, and everybody's strong, and Billy headbutts the bully unintentionally, and then everyone in school thinks that Billy's the coolest guy on the planet, and he holds court in the lunchroom.
And then, like, lies about it.
What do you mean? How did he lie?
Billy's like making stuff up that didn't really happen to like play into it, and I was like, that doesn't feel like Billy's character, because it doesn't feel like he can lie, because that kind of comes up later with Rita, but they were just like totally fine letting him lie in the lunchroom. I don't know.
It was terrible, and that was by far my least favorite part of the whole movie, because it was really unnecessary to do that to that character. The character did not need that. It didn't improve the character. It didn't move the character in a direction. It didn't, like, another person you might be like, oh, if you did this with Zach, he's getting attention. He wants attention. Blah, blah, blah.
Yes, he does.
Whatever.
He does want that attention.
They go back out there, and then everybody jumps, and then Billy falls, and they fall into the water, and they all start glowing. And this seemed like the part of the movie you probably liked.
The glowing?
No, the jumping.
I mean, it was fine, but again, it's derailed by the directing of this. There's so much, like, we're all about Dutch angles. As much as I complained about angles in Twilight, like, this is infinitely worse.
Yes.
And there's so much like handheld and like weird. Like, why are we looking down at some people sometimes, and sometimes we're just like looking up? Like, there's no power dynamic to the angles of these cameras. And so this scene, like when they're jumping, is all like, it's almost like found footage. Like, it feels like an almost found footagey movie, except for it's not in any way. It's very strange to me.
At certain times, you'd be like, this person sort of jumps from off screen and then disappears off screen and then lands. You're just like, why don't we just sort of sort out what we're trying to show and how we're trying to show it?
Yeah.
It's like there are very serious conventions for all this stuff that we've watched thousands of movies, and we are used to these conventions. And when you break the conventions for no reason, it just leaves us confused and kind of going like,
and not only that, but your plot and your characters all like are rigidly within those like confines, but then your directing is like out here somewhere. It's just it doesn't work for me. But as a kid, yeah, man, this would be my jam. Like discovering your superpowers is great, super
Yeah,
fun.
and they do a decent job of trying to show that exhilaration. I don't think they do a really good job,
Yeah,
but
but it's there. It's
yeah,
there.
I
You know,
think
and again, I enjoy these actors. So like
yeah,
I have a good time with them, and when they're interacting, I think that's when the movie's the strongest.
yes, yes, and we will see the strongest scene is basically these actors being actors. Um, so we go down in the water, then we go down through the water to the secret chamber. Nice looking. I enjoyed all that. I thought it all looked good. Spaceship looks
Yeah.
good. Go onto the spaceship, and then we meet the Bill Hader robot.
Are you why did you sigh? You don't like Alpha 5?
Oh, it's so terrible. It's and 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 this is the point at which I think this whole movie breaks down and why this movie is a problem. We meet
Because of Bill Hader?
because of Bill Hader, and then we meet Zordan, who's baked into a wall, and it's like, and then the bad guy's named Rita Repulsa. Okay,
Yeah.
so what we're doing is we're pandering to 9-year-old Tony who watched this show, loves all these character names, loves these characters, loves this situation, and then we're sort of trying to make an adult movie, with
Yeah.
actual adult stuff, and you just say Rita Repulsa, and then you have Alpha 5, is that what he's called?
Yeah.
Just like, hey, you kids, you've been 65 million years. I've been waiting down here for you. Shucks, golly, goody, goody, gabba-dooba doobie. And nobody's like, how do you know English? Who are you? What is going on? They just
Well, I
naturally,
have all those questions.
you just naturally acting like it makes sense that there's this robot that talks in colloquial speak, and the only reason there's a robot that's speaking and acting like this is because there was a TV show where there was a robot, and it makes sense because all those
And he
Japanese
was great.
shows always had this comical robot that would be like ding 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 ding, oh, there's an alarm and I need ice cream.
So just to be clear, Dan, are you saying you think they should have changed this?
Yes,
You think they should have
absolutely.
changed Rita? They
Yes.
should have changed Alpha 5 and Zordon? What are you talking? No, you have to keep that is the fan service. We love Rita Repulsa. I mean, they made her not Rita Repulsa. I'll tell you right now, Elizabeth Banks' hot rendition of Rita Repulsa is not what you get in the 90s show. But like this is a great rendition of Alpha 5. I think Bill Hader knocks it out of the park. Ay 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 ay. Like it's great. It's great. This is my second
Yeah.
favorite part of the movie.
If this movie was made for kids, I'd buy that. But this movie isn't made for kids. It's got jokes and what's her name in her bra. I mean, this is Riverdale. This is the same as Riverdale.
Oh,
and in
Riverdale.
Riverdale, they don't have like the comical. What's her name? Sabrina doesn't have a comical cat that's like cracking one-liners, do they? You probably
Which
watched
is why
Riverdale
I stopped watching Sabrina on Netflix.
because they didn't have
I was
the
like,
cat.
where the fuck is the cat? Where's Salem, everybody? He's the best part of the show.
And I watched a little bit of that show, and I thought it was terrible because it plays all those games just to the people that it should, and I'm not that
Yeah.
person, so it's like you're not selling it to me. This movie feels like it's trying to make that fan service work by having a comical robot, and then also have
Yeah.
like these darker themes of we're reckless kids. I don't know.
I mean, Alpha 5 is the nostalgia part of the movie. And as a fan, as a kid who grew up morphing in his living room with his plastic Tyrannosaurus Rex medallion, like I'm into it. I like it.
Yeah,
But I can
and
respect it.
yeah. So we got the crystal. We got Rita's trying to dig this crystal out of there so she can destroy the Earth for some reason that we don't know. and she's going to
We
build.
we don't understand her motivations. I
She's
also
gonna,
don't understand how they know all this. Because Alpha 5 and Zordon, like, from my understanding, Zordon just woke up because he doesn't even realize he's in the screen. He's like, whoa, where am I? And Alpha 5's like, you're in the screen. You woke up. The power chamber's open. But then they all know everything. Like, Rita's awake. They know they're in Angel Grove. Angel Grove isn't 65 million years old. So, like, how do they know where they are? Do they have internet in this spaceship? I'm very confused.
The little robot must have been watching TV all this time.
That's all he did. Poor Alpha 5's just down there flipping channels for 65 million
that's
years.
what the robot should be doing.
All
so
right.
they all have like a bad Rita dream where Rita's, being horrible and everyone turns into dust, and it was okay. And then we're set up that we have 11 days.
Which, okay, be honest. Did you enjoy this joke?
What, 11 days?
It's like, by my calculations, we have 11 months until she's ready. I'm sorry, that's 11 days. 11 days. That's a good joke.
Yeah. The jokes like that are fine. There's a number of jokes in here that are all fine, and they're fine.
Poor Bill Hader doing everything he can for Alpha 5, and Dan just doesn't give a shit.
Hated it. So now we sort of set up that Jason's got to bring everybody back together, and then we sort of see the families. So we see Zach's mom, who is sick. We see Trina's family, who's like, pee in a cup, whatever.
Yeah, that I didn't love that family scene, but it's fine.
This family scene's very, very formulaic, but you have to set that up for what's actually kind of interesting in this movie. And then Rita starts eating fish heads. And then Rita starts looking for gold. So we have a couple of scenes interspersed in here where Rita's pulling people's gold teeth out. She goes to a jewelry store and does some terrible things, and blows the thing up, which made no sense.
Awesome. Great stuff.
She's okay. I mean, it's all right. She's very ugly at first, and then she gets prettier as it goes along. No, she's very ugly at first.
I disagree.
No,
I'm into it. When she attacks the homeless guy, I'm in. I was like, cool. That's a lucky guy right there.
I think they changed the makeup as she went along. She had a very hideous makeup.
No,
and
for sure.
Got to a more beauty makeup.
For sure. As she collects the gold, she like regenerates basically.
Yeah. So wait, so you thought she was hot when she was old and weird looking?
Yeah.
You're so weird. So now Zordon lays out the 3 rules. And these are the weirdest rules ever, and they have nothing to do. These 3 rules, you spent time explaining these 3 rules, and none of them ever come into play for 1/10 of a second. Number 1, no personal gain. Okay. Number 2, don't escalate a fight. This is the strangest rule I've ever heard for anyone. So, like, defend. You defend, and I'm like, okay, maybe they're just defensive. To defend, and then they use their power against them, and then you accidentally throw them off a cliff to their death. I don't understand the don't escalate a fight.
Dan, I have no idea.
And
these rules are new for this version of the movie. So I'll tell you that right now.
Did the real Power Rangers ever have a set of weird rules?
No, not like that. I mean, so what they were all karate students. So they were all like disciplined, good people. A bit like, and that's why they were chosen. In the original, they were chosen. They were the 5 chosen kids to become the Power Rangers. It's not like they stumbled upon them and they're all trash children. So it's just different.
Yeah. So, and then the 3rd one, never reveal your identity. What does that have to do with anything?
As far as I know, nothing, because Rita seems to know all of them. So really, who are they not revealing it to?
Yeah.
Like, does anybody else care?
There's a reason why Spider-Man doesn't reveal his identity, because the bad guys might injure his family.
Yeah. And they do.
And they do.
It happens. He was right.
And Dr. Octopus tried to marry Aunt May in the comic books at one point. So there you go.
Is that true?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Good for him.
I was growing up. There was like that whole wedding scene, and Spider-Man busted it up.
Nice. Good job, Pete.
Okay, so they can't morph. I'm trying to morph. We can't do it. And so now you have to just train without armor. And then we have a big training montage where you say to yourself, how are all these people that come from random walks of life already trained in karate combat?
Exactly. Which is why in the original they are karate students, and that's the whole thing. They already know how to fight. They just get like extra strength and cool Zords.
And you're really hoping that this is the point at which we carve out a little something special for each character. You know, we have Jason has he does football-y sort of stuff, and Trini has speed, and Kimberly has sexiness, you know. No, we don't have any of that. We just have everybody
really
fighting the same way.
You're giving Kimberly sexiness?
Yeah. What else am I going to give her?
That's the worst power.
Really cute hair?
Poor Kimberly.
Power of cute hair? I don't know.
She's got great volume on her hair. Nailed it.
So, wait, let's see. Now we meet the dinosaurs, which are cool. Oh my god, we still have 2 more pages to this nightmare movie. Yeah. So let's see. So then Zordon is like, so Zach runs wild in the Zord. So Zach just gets into one of the Zords and then just runs it around and almost kills everybody for no reason.
Which is just super not how Zords work in the original show.
Oh, really?
Like you have to, when you morph, you get like a weapon that you can basically call your Zord to you. It's like an extension of the suit, essentially. You can't just be in the Zord as a human. Like, what? I don't know, man. I don't know. I didn't like this scene.
So then Zach gets out, and Jason and him fight. Whatever. Then we have
and how the hell is he driving
party.
How does he know how to drive it, Dan? He's never been inside of a Zord before.
And everybody gets into Zords and just like pushing buttons. Something must do something.
Right.
even though there's a thing that shoots into their spine that connects them to their Zords, there's still a bunch of buttons that have to be pushed also.
Yeah, I don't know.
Zordon's unhappy, and so the everybody's like, let's have a party on the mountain. Okay. It was going to be very cold.
Let's have a party on the mountain. They're having a get to know ya, a little jamboree.
And then Rita has the jewelry store thing, fine. And then Trini says, we need to get to know each other, and that's how we're going to get our morphing powers. And this was the one scene in the movie I liked. I thought it was nice. I thought even though a lot of the writing was kind of formulaic, I thought we saw the actors emote what they had to work with. They worked with very well.
My only problem with it is that not everybody shares. They're like, let's get to know each other. And then like Trini pours her heart out. Zach pours his heart out. Billy pours his heart out. Jason's like, you guys already know me. Don't worry about it. I don't have anything deeper than I'm just a jock, which is stupid. And then Kimberly's like, you know what? Not tonight. Maybe a different time when we're not getting to know each other.
Jesus.
Terrible writing.
So then, and I think Trini is she into girls? Is she LGBTQ? Was that?
She's definitely not straight. She's somewhere.
So she's not straight.
Yeah.
They kind of like say it, but kind of, they kind of like go, we're not going to go too far into saying this, but
it's one of those like, we want to be inclusive, but we don't want to like, really throw it in your face. So we'll just you kind of know. It's just called being a chicken shit.
She says the thing. So now Rita is in Trini's bedroom. I thought it was so dark. I thought she was in Kimberly's bedroom the whole time.
Their facial shape is very similar to me.
Okay, so it wasn't just me.
There's a couple moments in the movie where I was like, wait, which one is this?
Yeah.
But it's Trini. Yeah.
And it was kind of interesting. And it would have been interesting if it was sort of like, a dark promise and Trini was struggling with that, but they don't do anything like that.
Of course.
And then,
I do like the scene though, like going, going up to the
Nice.
ceiling and having the fight around the room. I thought it was a well choreographed, cool scene. So.
Super interesting. Very interesting. Then Kimberly's in Jason's bedroom and she confesses that she's a cyber bully. # be better.
Yeah, that she's just like an awful, awful human being, basically, is what this. And then Jason. So here's my problem: is that Jason's like, you did a terrible thing. That doesn't make you a terrible person. Move on from it. Is essentially what it's like. No, hold on. Let's not skate over the fact that she did something terrible and basically destroyed a girl's life. Like maybe she should live in that a little bit and learn from it. Don't just skate over it and be like, well, I messed up, but anyway, let's move on. I feel like it's not good enough of a lesson. I understand the sentiment. It's like, hey, everyone messes up and that doesn't make you a bad person. But at the same time, like, let's deal with it a little bit. She's got to at least apologize to the girl. I don't know.
You're right. It is. I hadn't thought about it, but what it is it's a space saver speech as opposed to saying, something that's a little more like you did a bad thing and that's terrible. And you're going to have to atone for that one of these days. You're going to have to.
Like, how about some redemption? Yes.
Instead,
so anyhow, that's my problem with it.
We got a movie plot to get back to. Shelve it.
You're fine. Don't worry about it.
Just crush those feelings down inside. You'll do better. So
you got a fight to do.
So then we get the we're all screw up speech where it's like, Zach, incredibly attractive Asian guy, Trini, like fine, like these are the big screw ups. These are the big mess ups. Another interesting thing about all the Japanese real Ranger shows is like the Yellow Ranger is usually kind of a fat dude. And he sort of acts as comic relief, right? None of that here. Okay. None of that here. So they're like,
that is correct.
They're like, let's take a vote to go kill Rita. That's the vote is to go kill someone.
We say it so nonchalantly. We're just like, it's not even stop her. It's not like we need to stop Rita. We need to murder somebody preemptively so she doesn't destroy the world. And I was like, wow, hey, gung ho.
That is a big step up to go from like, let's go see if we can solve this problem to, no, we're going to just kill her and the problem will be solved. Okay. And they vote killing. So they go.
Great, yep.
And Rita kicks their asses in a very, very, very boring battle scene. That's like shot from about a mile away, where they're just like.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they didn't have time to film it. It's like that classic Indiana Jones story. They probably had a really elaborate fight scene planned out, and they were just like, you know what, we got to get this shot in 15 minutes. Let's just.
So she ties them up. Billy tells them where it's at, and then she just kills Billy.
I mean, why do you choose Billy after he's the one that told you the thing? I don't know. Whatever, Rita.
They do not play this for emotions. I thought maybe they did kill him and he was going to be killed, and that was going to be something that makes it happen. But you sort of kill him.
So you didn't really feel this?
That one didn't get me.
I love the song choice, and like they're crying over his body, and then she's like, "Help me lift him," and they carry him back to. I liked it. I don't know. I was totally in. I thought it was beautiful.
You know why I probably didn't like it is she didn't kill him. She threw him in the ocean.
That is correct. She should have directly done something. She should have
stabbed him with that spear, and just like, and we should have seen him die we should have seen him die, kill the guy.
I think everyone should have seen him die. Yeah, I agree 100%, especially because we're going with this darker theme. Like you have to go for it. If you're gonna kill somebody, you're just like, I'm gonna kill someone. I threw him in the ocean and drowned him. First of all, drowning you're lucky he was even down there long enough to drown. Yes, and then she just, of course, lets everyone else go,
You're like, he's drowned.
Yeah. Yep.
The classic lets everybody
They need
go.
to fight through that or
They
something.
need to fight to escape and then not get there in time because they have failed. But and for the record, drowning is the nicest way to die.
Wait, what? Dan, we're not moving on from that yet.
I believe there's an amount of euphoria that happens when you drown. So drowning is not like miserable.
Really?
I believe so. I could be wrong.
Because I'll tell you that, like, almost drowning is one of my least favorite things to do. Like, when you're underwater and you're like, oh, I need air right now. Like, that panic that you go into, that's not a fun feeling.
Oh, Tony. So...
Pish posh.
So Jason says, as usual, I made the wrong decision. And then he says, I was so angry. And that's the line I wrote down. And I'm like, you were so angry? So in like the vote, you like when you all stood there and voted, you were just voting out of anger?
Right. Like, and it was the most calm and collected speech that he gave he's not acting out of anger. That was calculated. I agree that he made the wrong choice because probably murdering someone is almost never the right choice. but it wasn't because of your anger. They didn't write if they would have gone the way that we talked about earlier, where like his thing is he's hot-headed and he beats the shit out of that bully. Like, okay, great. That's a nice, that would be a fun arc, but they don't, and they just don't decide what they want to do with him.
Yeah, if he'd have been like, screw her, I'm going to go kill her. She can't destroy my world. And then he goes, and they're all like, well, we better go with him because who knows what'll happen. And then
he's going to get himself killed.
Billy dies because of his overreaction. That's all stuff you can write.
That's all great. Yeah.
And that's the sort of thing. This movie's sort of formulaic, but once again, it doesn't play the formulas as hard as it should. Play those formulas. That's why we have the formulas. So they're all crying, and then Zordon's like, oh, I guess I could become human, but I'm not going to become human, and then I'm going to let him live, and I'm going to bring him back to life because of I want to be alive, but I should just be a computer simulation.
You're skating over this whole Zordon thing, because I hate this Zordon thing where Jason basically overhears Alpha 5 telling Zordon, you can come back to life. And then Jason is like, oh, that was your plan all along, huh? You're just using us to come back. I was like, no. Zordon literally just learned it 30 seconds ago. You learned it at the same time. That was not his plan from the beginning. This writing is so weird to me. And I don't know.
So basically, because Zordon sacrifices trying to come back to life, they can morph, and they morph.
Yep, which is, I mean, that there was once he comes back to life again. I'm enjoying it again. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And now they're a team. Huzzah! I don't know.
So it's morphin' time. They morph, and then they just get right into dinosaurs.
Why can only one person come back to life? What a weird, arbitrary rule that is.
I mean,
is it? I guess my question is like, where is that soul, quote unquote, that they're bringing back to life? Because is he in the morphin grid, like the power grid? Because that's where Zordon is, which is why I thought it made sense that they could like send his essence back, because he's like just machine and wires right now. You can put that into a brain or something. I don't understand the idea of this.
Therein, Tony brings up a good thing. Is what should have happened was they should have brought him back to the ship. They should have plugged him into the ship. He should have appeared on the grid next to Zordon. They're both in the grid, and then they regenerate the body. And Zordon's like, I could go back in your body if you want to stay up here, be a robot computer. And he's like, no, I want to go back to my body and help my friends.
Right, because no one's going to pick the robot floating head.
And then we should have just skipped the whole thing where Zordon wants out. Which isn't the thing which is is
I don't like it.
An act like a stakes thing, but is not a stakes thing.
That's correct.
So then they all get in their robots, and there's a big fight. End of movie.
At the Krispy Kreme, which is again a joke that I enjoyed throughout the whole movie. I really like that the source of all life is at the Krispy Kreme. I like it.
I have very little to say about the big fight at the end. I thought it was kind of boring. I thought it was shot terribly. I thought
It's definitely that. It is not shot well. The person who again, I should have done research on who directed it because I did not, as always. But I don't feel like they know how to direct action sequences just in general, especially like big CGI battles, which is it's a skill that not a lot of people have. I'm sure it's very difficult, but it just wasn't. It wasn't good. Wasn't
that's
very
why
good.
I'm gonna say King Kong versus Godzilla. You watch that last battle scene, chef's kiss.
I still got to watch it.
Oh, you haven't watched it yet, and it really
No,
shows
I'm
you.
behind.
It really shows you how you can do kaiju battles that work, because it's not easy. It is very, very hard to do.
Yeah, super hard. Yeah.
And they do a great job of it. The Goldar thing, kind of cool. I like the animation. Rita doing a thing. I don't know. It's lots of shooting, gets back up, Rita falls down, it melts, drops dinosaur on Goldar, Megazord. Oh, they Megazord and she's surprised, and then they just have to sort of spend 15 seconds figuring out how, you make the leg move. That's the big teamwork solution is, the guy in the leg makes the leg move.
I'm also confused why Rita is confused about the Megazord. So Rita's never seen a Megazord because she was a Power Ranger back in the day.
I think it's a new thing that happened. Yeah.
So you're saying out of the billions of years of Power Rangers before us, because they say generations before you have all done this, and they've never turned into a Megazord. This is the first time. And where did all the parts come from? In the movie, each individual Zord forms a piece of the puzzle. In this one, they're all kind of in the center, and there's pieces that I've never seen before that have come from nowhere. I didn't like the design. That's what I'm saying. I didn't like the design.
It didn't look like anything really.
No, and it didn't look like the original one. So like there was no nostalgia forgiveness for me. It was just like, well, this is kind of dumb.
When you watch, what's the Guillermo del Toro one, that Pacific Rim?
Pacific Rim.
Those robots are great. Those robots are beautiful. Yeah. The monsters are beautiful. Everything about that stuff, beautiful. Each of the robots has a different personality. Each of the, they do all sorts of great stuff like that. This movie.
Just don't see Pacific Rim Uprising.
Oh, really? It's terrible.
Just don't see that one.
Is that good at all. Is that the second one? Is just the first one good? First one's good. Second one.
Yeah.
And then they Megazord, and then they just slap Rita out into space, and she turns into cold. She gets cold.
Yeah, which is, I think, is a fun callback, because they go, Jason, did you just slap her? And he's like, I did. Weird. Great. Good little callback.
Good little callback. He didn't kill her. And then I wrote down robot dance. I guess there's some sort of robot dance. Did they do like a robot dance?
Yeah, Billy did like a weird. I don't know. It danced. The Megazord dances. Yeah.
Oh,
what are you gonna do?
I didn't mention that the dad in his truck drives into the whole situation, and then what's his name has to get out of his Megazord amongst the whole city being destroyed and everyone dying. He sees something happen to his dad. He gets out of his thing. He spends 15 minutes, drags his dad to safety, and then it's like, good luck, sir, and then runs back to his dinosaur. It was so unnecessary. This is not the character
this
moment.
Is the catharsis.
No, I mean, that's what they want to be, the catharsis.
I know.
Failed.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
So, Tony, my question to you, other than like there being good actors in this and them doing some good acting, what did you actually like about this movie?
Well, first of all, what you just said is great. All that's great. And I don't, it's just not, it wasn't, I'm not saying that it's a great movie. It's just not nearly as bad as people made it out to be at the time. Like, it did terrible. So bad that it didn't get a sequel. And I honestly think if you did a sequel, I think it would be better than this. I mean, if you got different writers and a new director. But I feel like this was kind of like groundwork, and I'm okay with most of it. Some of it's great, some of it's terrible, but like in general, I'm fine with it. And I think we go up from there. But we're not going to. So there's that.
And I think you sort of answer your own question with this. Not that you asked a question; it's a question I'm asking because that's me. The Marvel movies work because you have Iron Man, where it's an Iron Man movie and you learn his origin, but they have battles and they have a whole thing in there. This one, you're trying to do 5 beginning movies, and then when you get to the Avengers, everybody knows who's out there, and we just want to see each battle scene and see each conflict, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
This movie, you're setting up so much, and it's so not exciting. The exciting stuff at the beginning of this movie is supposedly car chases. It's a Power Rangers
Which weren't
movie.
great.
I don't really need a bunch of car chases. That's not what I come to a Power Rangers movie looking for. Oh, best car chases.
Yeah, so it's not super good. I enjoy it. I have a good time, and I would have liked to seen more because I think we can do stuff with these people. We have a great cast. And if you have a great cast, I think we could do better.
See, I think this is the whole point of movies, Tony, is you say you like a movie like this because you like to watch a movie like this because it feels like you're hanging out with these actors and characters that you like. That is the only reason you like this movie. Right. It's not a good movie, but you just want to hang out with these people.
But it's also not as bad of a movie as some of the things we've watched.
Oh God, no!
It's a mediocre movie.
No, yeah.
So I just think that more people should have seen it. That's all.
So more people go see this movie. I'm exhausted.
And real quickly, we didn't talk about it. So there's a post-credit scene that Dan did not stick around for, but everyone else, if you watch this, you should stick around for it. It's not a lot, but they're in detention. And they're like, we have a new student in detention, Tommy Oliver. And then it cuts to an empty chair. And he's like, Tommy, which is the Green Ranger / White Ranger. He's my favorite. He's my favorite Power Ranger. So I'm like, yes, who are they going to cast for Tommy? And the answer is nobody. They're not going to cast anybody because there's no franchise. But
the thing about the Power Rangers franchise is I read it and it's like, they've done 29 movies and 28 series. And, there's 1,000. This is going to go on forever. They will try it again as a movie. They will try it again as a movie. They'll try it again as a movie. And whatever.
But they won't have Dacre Montgomery in those movies. And that is a shame.
He's going to go on to do good movies, not this movie.
I hope so, man. Like, I'm really rooting for this kid. Both of them, both Naomi and Dacre. I hope I'm saying Dacre right. Dacre. I don't know how to say his name. But I love them both, and I hope they get a ton of work. And the last thing I'll say, Dan, is that in the final battle at some point, they do like a cutaway to a crowd, and the original Pink Ranger and Green Ranger are in that crowd, like videoing on their phones. And it's a fun shout out nostalgia moment. Jason David Frank. So good. He's the original Green / White Ranger. He's awesome.
What a great story that was.
It's a good story for fans. Come on.
So Tony, tell us something you ingested this week that you enjoyed.
Yeah. We talked about this just briefly before we began the podcast. That Dan and I, neither of us really found a lot of good stuff this week. But what I'm just going to shout out is Victory, the podcast. I don't think I've used this before, but it's the Entourage podcast. And I know it's not cool to like Entourage anymore, but you guys are all idiots. Entourage is great, was great, still holds up. And the podcast is super funny because it's just Doug Ellen, who's the creator, Kevin Dillon, and then Kevin Connolly, and they're just like these East Coast idiots, just yelling at each other. Like, that's kind of what the podcast is. It's fun.
If you want to delve into white privilege, there you go. I'm picking Kate Winslet's HBO Max Mayor of Eastman, I think it's called. Eastwick.
Okay.
Eastman. And it's just
Eastwick is the witches, right?
Yeah.
Witches of Eastwick? Yeah.
It's just your classic sort of girl gets murdered, and then there was another girl that had gotten murdered 10 years before or disappeared. And she's the detective. Just they're classic, those kind of shows that just suck you in because they're just, you're always like, what's going to happen? And
I mean, that's a great show.
Kate Winslet's good, and she's all pissed off. I'm all pissed off.
Yeah. Fired up. Love it.
It's fun.
Love it.
So what are we doing next week, Tony?
All right. So I'm just going to set up why this is the movie I chose, is that the Power Rangers, to me, good nostalgia. I think this movie did a fine job, and I really enjoy Power Rangers in general.
Yeah.
The opposite side of this spectrum is the year that Michael Bay tried to destroy my entire childhood by making Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles into the biggest piece of shit movie to ever be made. So that's what we're doing.
I have not seen this movie, and I don't think I even read the synopsis. So other than maybe they're aliens, are they aliens?
There's
something to do with aliens, and that's a problem, right? just that's it, right?
There's every single choice they made for this movie is a problem. There's not a single thing that they did that I was like, oh, okay, they got one right. They didn't do fucking anything right. So next week, get ready for that.
Well, that's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that quite a bit.
All right, good.
So this has been Hate Watching with Dan and Tony. I'm slightly exhausted, Dan.
I'm very exhausted, Tony.
Why are you exhausted?
Oh, Dan, we'll talk offline. I've been learning this new system at work, and I can't wrap my head around it. And it's been like 20-hour days because I'm just so fucking lost.
Yes. Sometimes when I try and do video editing, I try and remember how to use the program I'm using. And I just like, there's like 2 hours. You're just like, goddamn motherfucker, I fucking goddamn, I just need these two clips to be clipped together. They keep on moving and everything. I want to kill myself. Is it like that for 20 hours a day?
It is exactly like that all day, every day.
That's I was doing the taxes the other day. It's the same thing, and then luckily I found like this video of this guy that explained the one thing that was driving me crazy. And I'm like, oh, that's incredibly simple. Oh. It was like this chart.
Thank you, sir.
It was numbered like 1 through 13, and then 100 through 1,000. And my number was was like 71, so it was in this like no man's zone. And I'm like, what? Why are there not numbers in the no man's zone? What does it mean? So I spent like an hour until I went and found this video, and the guy's like, if you're in the no man's zone, it means this. I'm like, oh, thank you, God. So
why can't they just tell me that?
It's in all the instructions. It's all in there. It's just some stuff, I'm sure with this program you could get out the manual and you'd be like, well, it's right there. Yeah. Wow, you're the stupid one.
Well, listen, Dan, it's over a 400-page manual, okay? Exactly. There's a lot to go through, and I can't handle it.
400 pages. Yeah, you're used to doing the things the way you do them, and it's like, no, we don't do them that way. We're counterintuitive. Go screw yourself.
Goddamn right they are.
So we watch movies. If you like what you see, leave a comment, tell a friend. Thumbs up. And we'll be back next week. I'm tired.
Bye, everybody.
Hey, watch it!